Okay, so Tech has yet another product line that they're working on. It's not a new telescope. I mean, they are working on new telescopes, but that's something else. They're also working on a narrowband filter. And this is the Tech Astro Puresight A1. It's a standard H-alpha oxygen 3 narrowband filter, except that it's not standard. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be having a look. It's not standard because the way that the band passes of this filter are built is that they're slightly shifted towards the red while still maintaining full transmittance. But because they are shifted towards the red, they can fight against blue shift, which occurs on fast telescopes. And thanks to that, this filter is actually able and guaranteed to be usable down to f3.2. So as fast as f3.2, you're guaranteed to have good results with this filter, where you're maintaining basically the integrity of your transmission for H-alpha and oxygen 3. And that also means that it's likely possible to go down all the way to f2 probably and still have pretty good signal in oxygen 3 and H-alpha. And so that is one thing that is special about this filter. Otherwise, the filter itself has band passes that are 5 nanometers wide, except that there's a little bit of an asterisk there. In H-alpha, it's 5 nanometer plus or minus 1.2 nanometers. And in oxygen 3, it's 5 nanometers plus or minus 1. So in the worst case, you might get a 6.2 nanometer H-alpha, which I'm kind of fine with because H-alpha, it's not so affected by things like moonlight. But oxygen 3, it could be as bad as 6 nanometers. Although for mine, it's 4.8 nanometers. Because yes, this thing comes with apparently an individual tests for the filters that tells me that my particular sample at H-alpha band pass, the FWHM, so the band pass width, is 6.2 nanometers, so I'm the worst case for H-alpha, and oxygen 3 is 4.8 nanometers, so I'm slightly better than the advertised. And the test result also tells me that the peak transmittance is 96.9%. Because the H-alpha bandwidth is so wide, I assume that they actually did not pre-select this filter to send to me. It's probably fairly random. Otherwise, I would likely have gotten a much better filter in H-alpha in terms of bandpass. Or would I have? Maybe they're like playing tricks, mind tricks. It's like 4D chess. I don't know, but it's super cool that we have a 5 nanometers filters with the bandpasses are pre-shifted just enough that it works well at fast focal ratios while still working perfectly well at slow filter focal ratios. And you have an individual test with each of the filters. So does this work well? As you would expect, the first thing that I did is take the filter and pass it through my spectrophotometer to see whether the claims and the individual measurement of the filter was true or not. So also to give you an idea, in terms of price, this thing apparently is supposed to be around $299 US. So it's not cheap. It's definitely not something like an L Extreme. But if you get an individual test with each of the filters, decent band passes, and a pre-shift that actually makes sense and that works at very low focal length, I mean high focal ratios, and so very slow optics and very fast like f3.2 optics, it might make a lot of sense. So let's go inside and look at the results of the filter on my spectrophotometer. Okay, so let's look at the actual measurements that I got from my spectrophotometer with this filter to see whether that individual report, even though it's just like a small sticker, does it agree with my measurements? Okay, so what we're looking at here is the transmittance graph. In the y-axis, it's the intensity in percent of transmittance. And in the x-axis, it's my wavelength. And then you can see you have those big bumps there, those two, and those are the actual band passes of the filter. And the one on the right is for H-alpha. The one on the left is for oxygen 3. So we can look at H-alpha, and you can see the red thing here is my cursor. And if you look at the top right of the screen, here you can see the transmission as the Y, and X is my bandpass, or the wavelength, sorry. And if we look basically at the tip of the curve, we are roughly at 657.5 nanometers, roughly. So we are shifted by roughly 1.2 nanometers to the right which means that the blue shift, which is a left shift caused by fast optics, will affect this filter less. If I go to the standards roughly here, this would be the standard H-alpha wavelengths. You can see that we are towards the left of the bandpass. The red line is towards the left of my bandpass, but we're still at a transmittance of roughly 94%. So this completely agrees with what the filter claims to be. It's a pre-shifted filter that works both for slow and fast optics, as well as the transmittance basically agrees with what is advertised. So I really like that. The full width half max, I measure it at roughly 6.5 nanometers. It's not quite as precise as their measurement. Their measurement was saying that for me it was 6.2 nanometers, so it's close enough, and my measurement is not as precise. So it really looks like the sticker on the back of the box is really my filter getting tested, and I really like that. And then on oxygen 3, the peak itself is at around 501.5 nanometers. So again, we are shifted a little bit to the right, roughly like 1 nanometer. And if I go to 500.5, let's say, you can see that again, we are on the left side of the bandpass. We still have roughly 85% transmission. So we have less transmission for oxygen 3 than we do for H-alpha. But we see that with a lot of narrowband filters, so I'll leave it be. In terms of full width half max, I measure it at 5 nanometers, which is pretty much the same as their 4.8 nanometers from their measurements. So yeah, we're getting a filter that is exactly per spec, and that will perform what it needs to perform exactly as needed. Okay, and now the next step is to test the filter out, right? So I'm gonna put it in my filter drawer, insert it in the scope, and the test telescope will be the Hope 60D by Toptex, so it should pair perfectly well. It's f4.6 or 4.7, so it's not super slow, and it's on full frame. And what I'll do is, it's in winter, it's in April, we don't have a lot of targets available, but I'll be pointing it at a bright star to make sure that, to see whether we get a lot of halo or not. Because if it's halo free with those specs, because as we saw, it's actually properly having the bandpasses shifted just enough to work very well at all sorts of focal ratios, this might be a real winner. So let's test it out and see whether we get some halos on the stars. I've taken 60-second exposures, 60 of them for a whole 1 hour of data on, I believe, Regulus. I think it was either Regulus or Pollux, probably Regulus in the sky. And let's have a look at the results. And here we are. So this is a full frame sensor and 1 hour of data on one of the brightest stars in the sky. There is a very slight halo. Now, to be fair, taking 1 hour of data on the same star to test something else, like just a telescope, but using a UV-IR cut filter, I saw a similar halo. So it's probably fine. You make your own judgment, of course, but there is, on one of the brightest stars in the sky, with a 1 hour exposure, a very slight halo. Be aware of that. Besides this, as usual, I don't really want to just show you super cool, beautiful pictures of nebulae, for the reason that I can take beautiful pictures of nebulae with pretty much any narrowband filter that's not a complete mess up. This one, obviously, I've measured it with the spectrophotometer. It's exactly as per its specifications, basically, so I have no worries with it. And the halo seems to me well controlled, but again, you make your own opinion based on that one hour of data that I showed you. So now really it comes to, is this filter worth the $300 US? And actually looking at the Toptex website, it's actually $289 US, so a bit cheaper than I thought. Of course, I'll have the link down in the description if you're interested in getting the filter. But if I go back to the specs themselves, really the biggest drawback here is the FWHM with this margin, which is fairly big, like ±1, ±1.2. For me, it was good on oxygen 3, actually better than spec, and worse on FWHM, because it was around 6.2 nanometers exactly as per the results that I got at the back of the filter. One of the good things, by the way, that I haven't mentioned is the OD blocking, which is superior or equal to 5, which is really something that you want for a narrowband filter. And honestly, I think the closest competitor that I could think of with these band passes and like the high quality of the specs, but made for slightly higher speeds, is the Antlia alp-t dual band 5 nanometer high-speed filter. If you look at the band passes, you can see they're also pre-shifted while still working fine at fast optics. But as you can see there, this particular filter is pre-shifted even more than the taupe-tech. If we go back to the taupe-tech, you can see the band pass exactly as I was mentioning and as I saw on the spectrophotometer. It's shifted, but you still get pretty much the maximum transmission with very slow optics, which is good. So I would say this particular filter is kind of a cross between the normal alp-t and the high-speed alp-t. It's like in between to give kind of maybe either the best of both worlds or the jack of all trade, master of none. This is up to you to decide. So really going back to that, I think overall, especially when you're looking at the price of the alp-t at $380 US, I think sometimes it's on sale for $300, but I'm not sure. For a filter that has actual specs at the back that are specific to this filter, you know exactly what you're getting after you get it, because otherwise, until you get it, there's this element of uncertainty there with the plus minus 1.2, plus minus 1. If it's minus 1 or minus 1.2, awesome. But if it's plus, it's less awesome, right? So that's a bit annoying, let's say. But still, as I mentioned, it's really something that once you see the sticker, you know exactly what you get, because this sticker is at least what I was able to double check with my spectrophotometer to a T, right? And that means that since they seem to be doing measurements for each filter, that would mean that you are guaranteed not to get a filter that is out of spec, right? Because again, Antlia alp-t says exactly 5 nanometers, but when you measure it, maybe it's slightly different between filters, but you as the end user have no way of knowing. At least with this guy, you know, right? So it's really, as usual, trade-offs. So it's completely up to you based on this review to decide whether this is the filter for you or not. Again, I'll put the link down in the description. As always, I hope this was useful. So if you liked the video, please like it. Please leave a comment down below. What do you think about this filter? Would this be something that you'd be tempted in getting because you have a relatively fast Newtonian telescope? For instance, if you have the Quattro 150p, you're imaging at f3.4 or 3.5, something like that, for which a filter like that is ideal, right? So let us know down in the comments. If you want to support the channel even more and you're planning on buying anything from taupe-tech, from Amazon, from HighPoint, from Agena, etc., if you do so after clicking one of the links that I have down in the description, it will help me out at no cost to you. And if you want to support me even more and make all of this work that I do possible and really become a sponsor of the channel directly, you can become a Patreon member. The link is down in the description. And my Patreon members have access to a Discord channel where you can ask me any questions or discuss between yourselves. And you can also join the channel as a member using the join button next to the subscribe button. And you guys, you know it. All of this is possible thanks to your generosity. So as always, thank you so much for your support. With that, I hope this was interesting. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, whenever you can, to look up at the stars, and I'll see you next time.